Our little boy is 4 years old, but he's quite the little man. So we spell out the words we don't want him to understand. Like T-O-Y or maybe S-U-R, P-R-I-S-E. But the words that we're spelling now, they tear the heart right out of me. Our D-I-V-O-R-C-E becomes final today. Little J-O-E and me will be going away. I love you both, but this will be pure H-E-double-L for me. Oh, I wish that I could stop this D-I-V-O-R-C-E. Watch him smile, he thinks it's Christmas or his 5th birthday. He thinks C-U-S-T-O-D-Y means fun or play. I spell out all the hurting words, and I turn my head when I speak, 'cause I can't spell the way these tears are running down my cheek. Our D-I-V-O-R-C-E becomes final today. Little J-O-E and me will be going away. I love you both, and this will be pure H-E-double-L for me. Oh, I wish that we could stop this D-I-V-O-R-C-E. Hello? Hello? Hello, 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 hello! It's faux fur. Don't you ever watch a shopping channel? Hello! Hello? No! No, I want them to fly me in. It's called Madam Butterfly, not Madam Centipede. Well, they've been presenting performance there for the last 25 years, and they don't have the capacity to fly the performer into the space. Haven't they ever done Peter Pan? Oh, theater really is dead. Oh, stop reminding me, I know, you insensitive, toad-like little man. I know that I'm not a theater practitioner. I'm a performance artist. But my roots are in the theater. Therefore, I must have theatrical resources at my disposal. Therefore, I will not, I absolutely will not, I repeat, be flown in, carted in, on a chrysanthemum-covered wheelbarrow from Canadian Tire. I mean, what in the hell does Canadian Tire know about Japanese geisha in 1904 and her racist, misogynist paramour? I don't care how many Asian Canadians shop at Canadian Tire. I don't care if Canadian Tire money is accepted in hardware stores in Nagasaki. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Disguising a wheelbarrow as a butterfly is just so tacky. It's been done 1,000 times before. Besides, everyone knows we shop at Home Depot nowadays. Oh, and you know, what in the hell do you think this is anyway? Medea in a trailer park? I'm a great tragic actress. When I was exiled from my homeland, and they called me Asian Wolf in my 4-minute version of Medea, I was wearing a strapless Aegean blue sequin ball gown in a follow spot, and I was not being carted in on a landscaping cart from Canadian Tire with tissue flowers stuck to its side. Oh, it's just so. No. What? No, the death scene will not work by having me fall out of the wheelbarrow. No, a flat tire will not help. And besides, how are we supposed to get a flat tire on a perfectly good wheelbarrow over the space of a 45-minute performance piece? And besides, it's dangerous. I can hurt myself. In my last death scene, I broke 3 nail extensions and tore the skin from 3 of my fingertips. Yeah, yes, it was effective, but it hurt like hell. I couldn't pick my nose properly for a year. And you know what I have always said? If I could choose any nose in the world, I would pick my own. Oh, God, they say that all drag is glamour. Shame, 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 shame. I need to be like Grisabella, the glamour cat from Cats, the feline Madame Butterfly. Memory of his face. I need to rise up through the rafters. No! No, not even if there are papier-mâché wings attached to the side of the wheelbarrow. Carry me on your back. I mean, you're short and you're scrawny. You insensitive embryonic little creature. No, we don't have enough money in the budget to send you to the gym for the next 8 weeks. And besides, it doesn't matter how many sit-ups you do, you're still going to be short. Oh. Video. I am not a video artist, damn you. I cannot rely too heavily on video, or the Canada Council will force me to switch categories. And God forbid that my funding should be reduced from $1,000 every 2 years. Oh, fine then. Yeah, that's a good idea. Slides. We'll use slides. It's that old world performance installation feeling. And I hear that Kodak is phasing slides out, so we might as well pay homage to the old world of performance while there's still time. Yes. Mm-hmm. What? How in the hell would I know what Bizet would have done? I don't have time to do any more research. And besides, if I do too much research, I'll be accused of being overly academic. And by the way, Bizet wrote Carmen. Puccini wrote Madame Butterfly. And what in the hell did Puccini know about the identity crisis of a Japanese geisha in 1904? What in the hell did he know about butterflies? Oh, Jesus, what in the hell do I know about the identity crisis of a Japanese geisha in Nagasaki in 1904? I mean, I'm a white, middle-aged Canadian faggot, for the love of God. I have the ethnicity of a loaf of Wonder Bread. My forefathers were Mr. Clean, the man from Gladden, and Jack Daniels. How do I position myself within a fragmented postmodern narrative but a 15-year-old geisha and Popeye the American sailorman? Yes, it is true. I do have HMSSS Hello Sailor tattooed to my butt. But I don't see what that has to do with anything. I mean, promiscuity does not necessarily prepare someone for an in-depth critical response to a 100-year-old intercultural relationship. Of course, that is something that promiscuity could have going for it, you know. Sleeping with a lot of men could be considered a demystifying research tool relating to racist myths around national genital endowment. But, you know, I don't think it would go over very well in the Canada Council grant application. Where is that article I gave you by Richard Fung? Looking for my penis. Fabulous! Read it again. I can't find it anywhere. Oh, jeez. I should have went to hairdressing school. Oh. Okay, now where were we? Where were we? Props. What props are we looking for? Hedge clippers for the castration scene? What in the hell are you talking about? There is no castration scene in Madame Butterfly. I mean, the lead male, he doesn't have any balls. He's absent from the entire second act, most of the third. And the lead female, Cho-Cho-San, Butterfly, the great tragedienne. She's a biological female. There's nothing to castrate. No. Women cannot literally have testicles, you ominous, sexual, eunuch-loving little prevert, you. You know, I must have been drunk the night I asked you for hedge clippers. You know, women can, metaphorically speaking, have balls, but no, they cannot literally have testicles. And besides, you're thinking of M. Butterfly, the play that was turned into a film with Jeremy Irons. And I'm not entirely convinced that Jeremy Irons does have testicles. Now, I think that he's really just Emma Thompson's mother in male drag. No, there's no castration scene in Madame Butterfly. It's a symbolic suicide, actually. She actually kills herself at the end. No, it's a symbol of colonialism. Colonialism, globalization, as yet another phase the colonialist project. The white Asian child is taken from his mother's arms, literally, and assimilated into North American culture, passing as white. He grows up to become John Denver. You fill up my senses like a ship on the water. I'm sorry for the way things are in China, but more than anything else, I'm sorry for myself. It's been told, the story has been told 1,000 times. Madame Butterfly, Miss Saigon, The Young and the Restless. Everyone has had their take on it. No, the symbolic suicide in M. Butterfly occurs when the male lover kills himself because he discovers that his lover, who he thought was a woman, is in fact a man. So he puts on the costume of the traditionally Japanese geisha. Geishas, in fact, at the very beginning, were male. And he walks into a follow spot and he stabs himself, which is a kind of castration. Because if he cannot have the woman, then he must be the woman. And if he must be the woman, then he must kill himself as a woman. Because the biological male cannot be the biological female, because that would be an emasculating act unacceptable to any right-wing, conventional, traditional, knee-jerk, misogynist, woman-hating closet queen. And you know, if they just turned up the lights while they were feeling each other up, none of this would have happened. Is that clear? Huh? No. No. Now, of course, it is a closet queen. I mean, there's plenty of room in the closet for straight men. I sleep with straight men all the time. You of all people should know that. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Forgive me. I know, it was just one night. You were drunk, I was in drag, the lights were low. It wasn't really you. Yeah, that must have been the night I asked for the hedge clippers. That would make perfect sense. Yeah. You know, if you don't mind me asking while we're on the subject, if it wasn't really you that night, then whose penis was it? I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I promise I will never mention your penis or anyone else's for that matter, ever again. Okay, where were we? Right. Props, yes. No, I don't think there is anything essentially Asian about umbrellas. It rains everywhere. Yes, it is true. I did think that Mount Rushmore was a natural phenomenon for the first 20 years of my life, but I don't see how that's relevant to anything we've been discussing. Don't you think that's a rather personal matter to be bringing up out of the blue? Out of the blue like that? And you know, besides, you're thinking of those waxed paper parasols for the sun. And no, I don't think that they are only available in Chinatown. You can get them at Pier 1 Imports or dollar stores over the holidays. And no, don't buy 30 of them for the set. No. What? Oh, now that's not a bad idea. Get 2,000 of those little paper cocktail umbrellas and we'll do a giant bas relief in the lobby. Bas relief, not bar relief. There'll be plenty of time for bar relief after the first night, trust me. An extended run. After the first performance, I may never eat lunch in this country again. Oh, speaking of lunch, I'm famished. What time are we meeting for dinner? Why not? You promised. And I said I was sorry. I already made reservations. Yes, I know that you do not have to make reservations at Pizza Hut. But I knew that it was your favorite restaurant, and I thought it might be kind of funny. You know, classism, it could be such a gay theme for a date. I know that this isn't really a date, but can't I have any illusions? No, how many times do I have to tell you? It does not hurt me to be around you. I like being around you. You're my friend. That's why I hired you. We've been friends for years. And I mean, you're my production manager, for the love of God. I have to be around you. And no, I don't want it to be only strictly business. Come on. Yeah, let's just have a few drinks. You know, we'll go out for dinner, chat about the show, relax. You can stay over if you like, in the spare room, of course. Unless you feel like driving drunk again and tearing off all the side view mirrors on the vans in my neighborhood as you escape from my tarantula-like clutches, you pathetic little closet queen, you. You loved it. You know it. You craven, passive little stud. And you know what they say? The only difference between a gay man and a straight man is a bottle of bourbon. And you drank a bottle and a half. And then you put on my pink kimono, and you purred like a butterfly, and I was the only man in the house. Oh, well, I guess I told you. Does this faux fur make me look fat? Oh, sweetheart. Oh, honey, I am so sorry. You know, I have some bad news, and I have some good news. The bad news is, Daddy won't be joining us for dinner. The good news is, Daddy won't be joining us for dinner. Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man. You'll have bad times, you'll have good times, doing things that you won't understand. But if you love him, you'll forgive him, even though he's hard to understand. 'Cause if you love him, oh, be proud of him. 'Cause after all, he's just a man. Stand by your man. Give him 2 arms to cling to, and something warm to come to when nights are cold and lonely. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man. Oh, Cho-Cho-san, what are we going to do? China, Japan, Asia. I was born in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. I am still in recovery. I feel compelled, ashamed to say that there were no distinctions made between China and Japan when I was growing up. China and Asia were not related in my racist, dysphoric upbringing. I was not raised to consider continents. I was raised to consider cuisine, the essence of the recipe for Canadian multiculturalism, food, fortune cookies, and men's eyes. World War II, Japanese internment, the end of the 19th century, building of the railroad, Chinese men not given the right to vote in this country until halfway through the 20th century. Chinese men who helped to construct, to build a country, a continent, that they helped to connect to the rest of the world. While white colonialist British Columbians were threatening to secede if the railroad was not completed, and at the same time separating themselves from Chinese laborers who were paid half of what white workers were paid. Men who contributed lost their lives. And still we continue to construct these racist equations. Toronto plus SARS equals Chinatown. I have a dream. SARS really begins when the big E falls out of the Sears sign in the Toronto Eaton Centre. Severe, ethnophobic, acquired, racist shopping syndrome. All of Asia for me in my youth was contained in a Chinese restaurant, the High Tops, still standing on the main street of my hometown. The proprietor, Henry, who my mother infantilized and adored all through childhood and adulthood. Henry, who would put those little paper cocktail umbrellas inside of my glass of Coca-Cola. I just wanted to put them in my hair and dance through the streets. Instead, they were trapped in my childish imagination like butterflies, pinned to the wall. Feminized, infantilized objects, misidentified as emblems, souvenirs of the, quote, Orient. Feminized objects of love, desire. The smile, the intriguing face, the everlasting fantasy of the flower. The lotus blossom as servile, feminine love object. Oh, I am no lotus blossom by any stretch of the imagination, but my God, I identify, I misidentify, I over-identify. Well, I did 25 years ago, a quarter of a century, when men tried to tame me. And I have taken from that experience what you might call a butterfly complex. An enduring sympathy for fey young men entering gender-focked into their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. I lovingly refer to it all as Freudian lingerie. A beautiful older man came up to me once at a train station in Winnipeg. I was 21. We were stopped for 3 hours in Winnipeg before completing the final stage of our journey. And I had never been to Winnipeg. Born in Ontario in the 1950s, without French immersion to expand my colonialist horizons, I learned how to sing Jesus Loves Me in Italian when I was 7, Dominique in French when I was 8, and that was the extent of my international language studies. Until a brief stint at the Sorbonne, several years later, my OSAP, Ontario Student Affluence Program, arrived late, so I went for a holiday in Italy instead. I drew circles in the sand, trying to explain to this gorgeous Italian gentleman that I would not take it up the ass unprotected. Too much information. Ciao. You know, with no strong sense of geography, I always forgot where Winnipeg was when I was growing up. And when someone would bring it to my attention, I would mistake it for a city somewhere in Saskatchewan, Manawam, and Saskatoon. The prairies, a dry, mute, run-on sentence in my geographics, novels, Who Has Seen the Wind, The Diviners, both banned in high school in my hometown. My inbred xenophobic tendencies extended to my own country. I struggled with it. So by the time I met that man later on the train, I really had no idea where I was. He was a British tourist and he knew more about my country than I did. I had never heard of Lake Winnipegosis in all my life. Did you know they had a desert there? Who knew? After our brief meeting, we quickly retired for an intimate encounter in the men's lavatory. Winnipegosis. It always seemed like such an exotic word to me. You know, when our eyes locked in that dingy, gritty little men's room, the apparition of his face, crowded petals on a wet, black bough, it was lust at first sight. His beautiful wife had glamorous curlers in her gorgeous bleached hair. And they had a berth, I had a seat. And I saw her the next morning, the curlers still in her hair, barely concealed by this lovely scarf. She was wearing a satin bathrobe, Marks and Spencer's perhaps. And she was on her way to the women's lavatory. And it was occupied. And I heard her say in her beautiful accent, "Oh, fuck." And then she looked to her left, then to her right, and then she scurried, fluttered, into the men's lavatory, the same cubicle that I had been in with her husband the day before for beautiful, glorious moments. I felt like such an insufferable slut. Were there condoms underfoot? I mean, it was 1977, for the love of God. Did we even use condoms? I mean, memory can be so indiscreet. When our eyes locked across that row of crowded urinals, if I, in fact, had known that he had a wife, perhaps I would have avoided him. After my intimate encounter with her husband, he took me to the bar car for a glass of red wine. And he asked me if I had ever been to the East. I said, well, no, not unless you count Montreal. I went there in 1968 right after Expo. He laughed. He laughed and he said, no, I mean the Orient. The wife and I were on a world cooking tour. I'm a chef. We've just done breakfast in Canada this past week. We'll be doing lunch in Europe. I'll be in Tokyo in a fortnight for dinner, so to speak. And then he brushed his big, beautiful white thumbs across my expansive aquiline forehead, which was very daring for a married man in a bar car traveling across the country in 1977. We could have been arrested for what we'd done in the men's room the day before, thrown into prison, while Trudeau was still trying to secure the locks on his nation's bedroom. And then, in a dream, it was all like a dream, he said to me, would you like to come along? I've covered all the costs, of course. You could follow us on the sly. We could meet in little bistros here and there, bars and Tokyo hotels, sliding doors, paper rooms, just like Butterfly and Pinkerton. Oh, it would be thrilling. I would buy you cheap silken fans, and we would hoist tissue lanterns to the ceiling, and we'd make wild, passionate love all through the night. I clearly have a Tennessee Williams complex mixed with an insatiable desire for eroticized haiku. Then I asked him what he planned to do with the wife, should I decide to come along. He laughed and he said, oh, she's not long for this world tour. She's getting off in London, and she doesn't like the weather, the food's terrible. She might rejoin me again in Peking. I sensed that there was a whole other part of the story that he wasn't telling me, and I suggested that she, the wife, give her another chance. The world, that is. I mean, the weather's bound to change. The food will improve when you leave Canada. It'll get better as you cross Quebec. Well, when I was very young, I always thought that Northern Ontario was part of Quebec, and that Dionne Warwick was one of the quintuplets. What do you get when you fall in love? You get a little prick to boost your bubble. That's what you get for all your trouble. Ha ha ha, I'll never fall in love again. And then we went our separate ways. Our train cars were, as they say on the railroad, uncoupled in Sudbury. My national dream vanished in Sudbury. And to this day, I have never forgotten Winnipeg. Brings back such. And I never made it to Japan. Hello? Hello? What? 2,000 paper cocktail umbrellas will cost how much? Forget it. We'll just get a couple of those patio umbrellas and put twinkle lights on them. Yeah, but bring a couple of the cocktail umbrellas with you tomorrow to the production meeting. I like to stick them in my hair. They always make me feel much, much better. What? You're not coming. You're going to send them with the stage manager. Well, where on earth are you going to be? Oh, that's nice. Niagara Falls. Your anniversary. Isn't that romantic? Have a nice weekend. I love the falls. I want to go too. Straight male bi curiosity. Colonizing exotic sites that interest them, explorers of sorts, and then returning to the originary gender theme park, hetero Disneyland. And we all know the story, right? Why did Minnie have Mickey put in an asylum? Because he was fucking goofy. Slowly I turn, step by step. My throat dries up and I lose my breath at Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls, where they call me the maid of the mist, 'cause that's where I got my first wet kiss at Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls. Well, I don't intend to ever wed, but long before I'm good and dead, I'm gonna spend someone's honeymoon in a cheap hotel, in a sleazy room by Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls. Well, some folk jump into Niagara Falls, and although it's sad, I can't recall a more sensational suicide, a classier way to decide to die at Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls. Oh, Chocho-san, what are we going to do? as pure as lilies in the rose. Though you must never know, for you alone, for your lovely blue eyes, dies butterfly, so you may live beyond the ocean, and must never once remember when you were all grown up that your mother abandoned you. To me, you came from heaven, from paradise eternal. Look at my face! Look at me closely, so you may keep a faint remembrance of your loving mother's features. One more look! Goodbye. Goodbye. Forever. Go. Play. You know, someday they're going to write an opera about me. Yeah, it's going to be called, they call it The Moth and the Sword. No, it's going to be called, The Sword and the Parasol. It will be the first transgendered opera. I will be played by some beautiful, feminine, flying, dying object. My wings will carry me across rooms like the first moth with direction. I will seem to have none, but in my ethereal, gypsy, moth-like flight patterns, there will be a kind of navigation unheard of in the world of high finance and air travel. Air traffic control will become redundant. Moth Airlines will surpass the expectations of every major CEO on the North American continent. Like moths to a flame, passengers will burst into travel agencies nationwide, feverish and on fire, demanding seats on my delicate mothy tendrils. I will become prehistorical, post-historical, and just plain hysterical. I will be a beacon of moth-like hope on a desert of rotting, phallic caterpillars. The deserts of Manitoba will flood. Northern Ontario will become part of Quebec. Celine Dion will be crowned the Queen of Hudson's Bay and Sears. Toronto will slip into Lake Ontario, leaving Chinatown to rise in its wake. Banff will become a suburb of Vancouver. Dinosaur bones will bleed in southern Alberta. Entire Jurassic exhibits internationally will wander into the street, flattening pedestrians, motor vehicles, and partially empty school buses. longing for a glimpse of a flock of my syncopated mob, fleeing like tiny, gossamer Canada geese towards southern outposts for the winter. Pensacola, Orlando, Fort Myers Beach, Miami, my God, the Keys, followed by illegal entry into Cuba. Adolescent boys will cry and stay at home from hockey practice and try on their mother's lingerie. What with my misidentificatory geographic practice so firmly secured by my waspish Ontarian ethnicity, where is the operatic ritual embedded within the effeminophobic national spectacle that has had a hand in creating me? My sexuality erased, suppressed from the margins of my youth, constructed by colonizing categories. Whiteness, erasing parts of itself. Sex, gender, ethnicity, ritual, desire, by homogenizing identity. Duped. Since childhood, I was happy being a little girl in a little boy's body. I've never felt trapped in a man's body. I wanted both. I still do. And when I finally became comfortable with my femininity, then I started to crave the masculinity barely discernible of my body, so deeply inscribed in the bodies of queer men, passing as straight, living straight lives. Oh, they were plentiful in my youth, but I shooed them away with my flighty comic wisdom and my witty, pithy, lispy, mothy-like sentiments. They were repelled. I was no moth. I was a can of Raid. Like flames to a moth, they fluttered, then burst. My metamorphosis was not from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It was from a butterfly to an embittered performance artist. Moths, fairies, cougars, cats on hot tin roofs, dying swans, white swans, black swans, little birds, birds of prey, larks, nightingales, black widows, Venus flytrap. I don't like love. It's distracting. It's an annoying social construct itself. Greeting cards, flowers, sweets, tickets to the symphony, the ballet, the opera. It drives people insane, and it forces them to share takeout food in bed. You know, at the end of my opera, my own opera, stab myself with one of those little plastic cocktail swords. Or maybe I'll choke on a mermaid swizzle stick, put into the side of my Jacques Cousteau martini, a little Asian named bar in downtown Calgary, Ming. Chairman Mao, picture of Chairman Mao over the fireplace, lost in translation. Do you ever go out for a couple of drinks and you get home later at night and you feel like you've been trapped in a racist movie? Bred from a long line of rootless, masculinized drinkers who abandoned their ethnicity through a complex hegemonic spectacle so many generations ago. I'm this boozy, dysphoric, ethno-gender Canadian faggot in search of my homeland. Happy-go-lucky me. I'm sadly deepened by this life experience. I liked being superficial when I was a child. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind if I just had a quick look at your penis?
And now,
Now I like to sleep with straight men. Oh, I have nothing against gay men. They can be loads of fun to sleep with, but you know, sometimes I just find that straight men are so much queerer than gay men. They can have such a wild, frantic, fantastic hunger in their eyes that I find so appetizing. And I cry whenever I hear Maria Callas sing the One Fine Day aria from Puccini's greatest opera, Madame Butterfly. But still, we have aficionados crying out, it's all about the music. Never mind the little woman in the kimono, she's just a vessel for song. The racist, misogynist myth that only big women can have big voices and that Asian women cannot be, quote, big. The feminizing, infantilizing dream of a mysterious East inscribed in our racist, childish, adult imaginations and projected onto the body of a subservient woman in a kimono. She was 15 years old. Oh, Cho-Cho-san, what are we going to do? I know. Let's sing. I like to teach the world to sing in... No, that's not it. I like to buy the world a Coke. No, that is not it. I like to build the world. No. I've gone. There's a fine line between reaching out to a friend in need and a mercy fuck. My luck has abandoned me now, my luck has gone astray. But one fine day I'll see smoke rising o'er the horizon. A ship will appear, a white ship. Into my harbor will come one fine day. He'll be here, but I won't go down the hill to greet him. No, I'll sit here, 'cause he's straight and I'm queer. Exhausted from waiting a long, long, long time, 'cause he's straight and I'm queer. But one fine day, you'll see when he's smiling, down his cheeks will be shining such bittersweet tears from my face in his heart. For a few drunken moments when we were both queer. Dying, am I slowly dying, a fate worse than death? Loving for a few stolen moments, straight men who sometimes turn queer. No, I'm living in the heat of those moments, and I'll go on living for straight men who turn queer. For a moment, a brief stolen moment in time, for straight men who turn queer.
Bravo!
This opportunity to thank everyone at Western Front and Center A and people at Emily Carr, Aruna, and Michelle, and thank you all so much for coming. God love Butterfly and all of his sisters.